Welcome back to the Empire Builders podcast. Dave Young here with Steven Semple and part 2 of the Pez story. We're going to talk about the Pez collectibles, the whole frenzy. Steven, I'm going to turn it over to you because I'm fascinated with this. I did just like 30 seconds worth of Googling and there are Pez dispensers that are worth bucks out there.
And the whole collectibles and the Pez story is crazy. And as we know, the 90s is when this whole idea of collectibles just took off. You had Swatch watches come onto the market. And in fact, stay tuned. We're going to do an episode on Swatch. Swatch is probably going to end up becoming one of my favorite all-time stories. So Swatch is going to be coming up because as I was going down this whole collectibles thing, it opens other doors, right? But you had Beanie Babies and you had Pokemon and of course Pez. And Pez is so popular that it ended up being on the cover of the Forbes magazine edition on collectibles. And people who collect Pez dispensers call themselves Pez heads. And one of the biggest people in the space is a guy whose name is Stephen Glue, who's also known as the Pez Outlaw.
The Pez Outlaw.
The Pez Outlaw. You're immediately intrigued, aren't you?
Oh, sure.
And Steve Glue is a machine operator from Michigan, and he started doing collectibles as a side hustle. And he started by collecting cereal boxes. So he would go to the local recycling plant and clip the coupons and ask for the toy to send them. Things like those secret decoder rings.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed that there's a disclaimer now on those things that says, only one per customer?
Because of him?
It's because of him. Because at a certain point, Kellogg's notices that they're sending tons of toys to this one address in rural Michigan, to this one guy. He's basically getting these things and then going to trade shows and selling them.
Nice. That's smart.
That's smart, eh?
Yeah.
It's funny. I bought a book a little while ago that is somebody had put together a book of all of the ads and the products that we saw in comics.
Oh, sure.
And in fact, the reason why I had got the book is when I did my comic, I was looking for ideas for, fun made up placements. So
my dad had a story about when he was a kid, he sent off for something.
Yeah.
And it was a model airplane, a balsa wood model airplane, send $1 or whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And I think this had to be a joke. Basically, he got back a big block of balsa wood and a knife. There you go.
There you go. That's awesome. So we can thank Steve. So we can thank Steve Glue for the origin of the disclaimer of one per customer. So Steve's got a problem. He needs to find new things to sell because this side hustle is about to disappear, right? Because he's no longer able to scavenge these boxes and send in and get all these toys to sell. He's clearing out the last of his inventory, and he notices a nearby vendor selling Pez dispensers. And he's selling these dispensers for like $25 a pop. And his head explodes because you can buy them for $1. He's like, how's this possible? But here's where he notices the value lies in the ones that are either discontinued or sold outside of the United States.
Okay.
Because remember, this is the time of before pre-Amazon selling crap. So if something's available outside the United States, it's hard to get in the US.
Before eBay and all of that.
Yes, it's before all of that. So Steve figures out that the plants in the US make the dispensers for the US market, and the plants in Europe make the stuff for the Europe market, and the plants in Asia make the stuff for the Asia market. And there's one in Slovenia.
Okay.
So Steve travels to Slovenia with duffel bags full of cash.
Okay.
Finds the factory. And remember, this is 1999. Like this is Cold War Europe.
Is he the guy that ruins traveling with more than $10,000 as well? Like, did he ruin everything?
No, I think from the research I saw, there was still limits on cash, and he would like literally be just $1 underneath what it was.
Okay.
And he finds the factory, and he convinces the guards to let him in. Like he shows up unannounced with these bags full of cash, convinces the guards to let him in, and convinces them to sell him a bunch of Pez dispensers.
At wholesale, he's not going out. He's not going out and finding the stores.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
Loads up the duffel bags full of Pez dispensers and heads home. Now, here's the other funny thing. There's another loophole he exploits.
Stay tuned. We're going to wrap up this story and tell you how to apply this lesson to your business right after this.
Hey Rick, do you ever feel like...
Yeah, I do. Spinning my wheels, getting no traction.
I was going to say like we're part of a computer simulation. You know, like the Matrix.
Oh, I guess.
Your business still isn't growing, huh?
Nope.
Working harder, spending more, going down rabbit holes, but not growing.
Exactly. Going through the motions, like Neo at the beginning.
Well, you could talk to the host.
The guy on this podcast?
Sounds like he's figured out all the secrets for growth.
I mean, these stories are interesting.
It doesn't cost anything to talk to him.
That's true. Maybe I should get plugged in.
Come on, do it. I want to hear what your ads sound like when they play at the beginning of this podcast.
When you say stuff like that, it does sound like we're in the Matrix.
Watch this. Take the blue pill, Dave.
Let's pick up our story where we left off, and trust me, you haven't missed a thing.
Now, here's the other funny thing. There's another loophole he exploits. Because bringing stuff into the United States, it's not considered importing if it's not registered as a trademark item in the United States. And these weren't registered as trademarked. So therefore, they let him through.
Wow.
Now, this was at the time. I'm sure it's different today.
Yeah.
So for the next decade, he travels back and forth like 70 times.
So he's building up frequent flyer miles. Dude, he's working it.
He makes $4 million doing this. To put in perspective, at the time, the Pez is an $18 million market in the United States, and he's making $4 million bringing these Pez dispensers in.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that hilarious?
And he's probably having a ball.
There's a Netflix documentary on this.
Okay.
It's pretty crazy. So the new Pez U.S. president, Steve McQuinney, is not a fan of this.
Well, sure.
And he figures out what Steve's doing, and he bans Steve from all factories. It's like, if anybody helps this guy out, you're fired.
That's funny.
Isn't that funny? Steve's not done.
No. Steve's probably hiring people.
He's not done. He hatches a new plan.
Okay.
He sets up a company to design and order his own dispensers, and he poses as a German who plans on selling them in Taiwan. So he comes up with some wild designs, black and white skull, creepy eyeball being held by a hand, things along that lines. And he orders 50,000 dispensers at $5 a piece.
Okay.
But here's the thing. Scott McQuinney figures it out before shipping the orders, figures out what's going on. Now, Scott is smart as well. And look, you could sue him. You could do all of these other things, right? But Scott decides to do something different. Before shipping, before filling Steve's order, Scott copies all of them and starts selling them themselves as Pez dispensers. So when Steve gets the order, he suddenly realizes all the designs have been completely copied and released by Pez
Before
him. So what's his dispensers worth? Nothing.
Yeah.
He drops the price, Pez drops the price.
Oh, man.
So they basically just work him out of the business. But for Pez, all of a sudden Pez is selling these crazy designs, and they go, wait a minute, there is this whole collector culture, and they decide to embrace the collector culture instead of fighting
Thank you, Steve.
it.
Right.
But, I mean, what a crazy story. Like, this whole idea of looking at it and going, I'm going to take a duffel bag full of cash over to Slovenia, go to a factory, buy these dispensers, bring them back to the US, and basically sell them at these trade shows. And you do that like 70 times back and forth. So much you make $4 million. Like, he bought a house, put his kids through college. Like, crazy, right?
Yeah. Pez looks at him like he's some kind of arch enemy. but
Yes.
he's actually helping him. Yeah.
Yeah, it is too bad that they drove him out of business. But what I also admire is actually the way they went about doing it. They could have done the whole legal lawyer thing, and
Uh-huh.
instead they kind of beat him at his own game.
Just get down in the trenches with him.
like as much as I still would have liked to have had Steve win, I kind of got to admire the way they went about doing it.
Sure.
Like, okay, you want to play this game? We'll play.
Uh-huh.
I just felt like we needed to just talk a little bit about Steve, the Pez outlaw.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to find that now and watch it.
Yes. Yeah. And even how he started, this whole idea of finding cereal boxes and getting the toys and, and going
Yeah,
to.
he's just out hustling.
He's just out hustling. Yeah.
Amazing.
It is amazing. And I thought Steve Glue deserved his own separate recognition in the Empire Builders podcast. So good for you, Steve.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you for sharing that story, and go out and find a Pez dispenser if you can, and enjoy.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And, it is amazing how valuable some of them are, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. All right. Well, we'll talk to you on the next episode, Stephen. Can't wait.
All right. Thanks, David.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Please share us, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and leave us a big, fat, juicy 5-star rating and review at Apple Podcasts. And if you'd like to schedule your own 90-minute empire building session, you can do it at empirebuildingprogram.com.